Hello, BookTube. As I have mentioned ad nauseum on this channel, I am under a deadline, a rather large deadline, a large writing and research project that I agreed to in the spring and then farted around about all summer long. Now we're in mid-August, and that work is coming due, and I agreed to it. And I myself procrastinated on it when I'm spending half of every video yelling at you for procrastinating. So there's no way that I can fudge that. But it was a little bit indistinct for me. It was sort of around this time, if all is good, that sort of thing. And I don't work well. I'm a creature of deadline. I don't work well with vagueness like that. Now I have a specific deadline. Dawn on Wednesday is my specific deadline. It will be then or I will have failed. And that is not an option. I will not fail at this. So I am crushed under work. I'm doing a huge amount of work. It is hurting my conversations with my imaginary booktube friends. I'm not making 5 or 6 videos a day. I'm not making 40-minute videos. And I feel that. Believe you me. I don't know how much you're enjoying this reprieve, but I feel it. I miss this element of my life when it's not there. I'm also just short-shifting everything else except Frida. Everything except Frida is getting short-shrift in order for me to do the impossible, in order for me to be a freak for just a few more days. But I didn't want to make just, I made a Psalm Sunday video. I didn't want to make just one video. So I had to do sort of a quick ramble about some books, some new books, some old books that are new here. A mixed match of these things just to see your faces, just to talk for a bit about books. So we can start with this one. This is from June of this year. This is by Cat Sebastian, who is the author of a number of Regency romances that I really like. This is not a Regency romance, nor is it packaged as a mass market paperback. This is a trade paperback called We Could Be So Good. And it's set in the late 1950s. It's set half a century ago, when two young men, a short, tough, experienced young reporter for a newspaper, he's one of our protagonists, and the other protagonist is the taller, willowy, gorgeous son of the owner, who is spending time at the paper in order to make something of him, I guess, is what his family is hoping. And both of them are gay. And of course, this is at a time when you can't be open about that. You can't even, in a lot of times, not in this book, unfortunately, but in a lot of times you can't even be open to yourself about that. I liked this. In fact, this was my very first demonstration. You might seem odd to say, since I've said that Cat Sebastian is a favorite Regency romance author of mine. This is my first demonstration that I actually like this author, regardless of what she writes. Because this isn't set in the Regency. This isn't, her Regency romances are unbelievably groundbreaking. They are gay Regency romances. That entails a lot of strictures. There are a lot of strictures here, social strictures. The one complaint that I might have had with Cat Sebastian's Regency romances is that the characters themselves are 21st century gay people who just happen to be living in an age where you could be killed, where you could be murdered or sent to hard labor for the rest of your life, where you'd be ostracized from the world. It's in those Regency romances and in this book, the ultimate challenge, which is to have the characters share those bigotries, even though they are themselves gay, is not really done here. Our two main characters are pretty comfortable in their own desires. They know they have to hide them, but they're pretty comfortable feeling them. And their romance happens in fits and starts and is complicated by their different social status. And also, Cat Sebastian throws in a twist 2/3 of the way through the book. You are watching these two characters in the beginning. It's all really well done. It's all really enjoyable. You're watching these two characters at the beginning with the tough as nails beat reporter and this sort of goofy dauphin who's just there because his father owns the place. And you think you know what the, I don't want to say power differential, but I also don't want to say gender role. There's a way that these things break down. The crude South Boston Irish Catholic way would be of looking at a relationship like this would be to ask, who's the woman? That is really dumb and really corrosive, but I think you probably know what I mean. Who is going to be the who's going to be on the top rung of the relationship and who is not? And you automatically think you know that because of the character of these two guys, and it doesn't end up being true. In a really refreshing way, it doesn't end up being true. And there are a couple of wonderful scenes. There's a lot of what the current buzz on Twitter would call found family. And there is a very interesting twist pointing towards the future of these characters. And it's all done so well that this book really demonstrated to me that I like this author. I think she could write a romance set in any period, and I would probably like it. The only but you're hearing, this was enjoyable, absolutely enjoyable. I was invested in the characters, not so much the secondary characters, but then that's true with her regencies too. But with the two main characters, oh my, I was invested in them, definitely. Didn't like the various ways throughout the book that they reflexively sell each other short. I very much enjoyed the way they both confront their assumptions about each other, not just society's restrictions on whether or not they can be seen kissing, but their assumptions, their social assumptions about each other. That the way those things are gradually chipped away at, really, really well done. The but that I have is very small. It is a very small thing. Actually, two. One is just a hobby horse of mine. At the time period when this story takes place, both of these young men would be 5-pack-a-day tobacco addicts. And one of them, the hardest nails beat reporter, does smoke in this book. But as in so many contemporary novels that I read, it's viewed as, I don't know, his favorite color of nail polish. A song that he's got caught in his head. That's not how drug addiction works. It's not how drug addiction works. Just because you want it to be true doesn't make it so. You don't wake up one day and say, oh, I guess I just didn't have the taste for it. Drug addictions don't care what your preferences are. They don't care who you're in love with. That was one thing. It's a very small thing. I worry the message that it's giving out, especially since, in my opinion, polls notwithstanding, more young people smoke today than ever in history. They just call it by different things and also have learned, thanks to social media, to lie systematically to pollsters. But that's a very minor thing. That I admit completely that's the thing that's just going to bother me. It's not going to bother everybody. The only other complaint I have with this book is equally shallow, I will admit, which is this horrible cover. You've got fire escapes. Okay, fine. I guess fire escapes are supposed to connote a bygone New York City. New York City has plenty of fire escapes now. It's the law. You have to have fire escapes. And also, yeah, you have fire escapes. If you have fire escapes, then why are the Hiroshima-style burned silhouettes on the cover giants? Why are the two characters 15 feet tall? If you want to have fire escapes, why aren't the characters in scale with the one detail you wanted to have? All I could think when I was looking at this cover, you can't get away from it. When you're reading the book, you can't get away from it. All I was thinking was how easy it would be to do a 1950s style cover for this book that would be great. It would be fantastic. You could practically do it for free using an AI right now. This is boring. It's an incredibly boring cover. But the book was not. So there's that. Then I got this. This is, you already know me, so you know that this just made my heart completely sing. This is from the great folks at Princeton University Press. The other day, they sent me an oversized book of all the octopuses of the world. And I showed it to you, and I squealed. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, this is great. Only one thing that would be better. And I got it. I got The Lives of Sharks, which is an oversized, this is an oversized hardcover from Princeton that gives you the same thing as the octopus book did. So it gives you get a shark, you get its distribution worldwide, you get its conservation status, all sorts of fascinating facts, fantastic photography. Here's the white-tiff reef shark killing a moray eel. you get their distribution right there. They can be white-tiff reef sharks. Their length is about 7 feet, but don't take them for granted. Don't think, most of the ones that you will see will be juveniles. They'll be 4 or 5 feet long. Don't take them for granted. They can give you a mighty bad bite. They are not. It's not unknown for them to attack divers. But let's see what we have here. This comes out in late September. I have now a bumper crop of September books, and I want more. I want twice as many. Sharks are the top predators in many marine ecosystems, but tales of the killer instincts and fearsomely sharp senses of these hunters can obscure their full life histories. In fact, sharks are characterful, exhibit surprisingly complex behaviors, and lead secretive lives full of interest in every type of marine habitat. And this book takes you through all of the species in detail. And like all of these books, it gives you anatomy. There's Meg, there's Meg and a great white and a human. It gives you their anatomy and their evolution and all that too. Just a fantastic one-stop book for this sort of thing. It's a perfect companion to the octopus book, so I was very happy to have it. And then I get shark books in the mail. Yes, it's true. I get new books in the mail. That's a thrill. It never gets old. I absolutely love it. I might not share every bit of it on this channel anymore, but I absolutely love it. And even though I love that, I don't love it equally. Getting a shark book in the mail is better than getting most of anything else in the mail. I also get romances in the mail, which is a big treat for me. The one thing I don't get from publishers is graphic novels and comic book collections. I don't get those. For one brief window about 6 years ago, I had an active contact, and I did. I got loose issues and collected volumes. Then that contact went on to Hollywood. Their replacement was left up in the air, and I have not had a contact since at either Marvel or DC. The one thing I'm lacking is that I don't get those collections in the mail. But another thing that I do get in the mail, surely puts a smile on my face every time, is Penguin Classics. The long-term viewers of this channel will know I'm a huge fan of Penguin Classics. And I got one of their latest ones, the Penguin Book of Spiritual Verse. This lovely minimalist cover. I think this is September as well. Is that right? Yeah, this is also mid-September. And this is a collection of poems exploring faith and the divine, featuring poets from across the world, from antiquity to the present. Poets have always looked to the skies for inspiration and have written as a way of getting closer to the power and beauty they sense in nature, in each other, and in the cosmos. This anthology is a holistic and global survey of a lyric conversation about the divine, one which has been ongoing for millennia. It starts with something from the Epic of Gilgamesh and just goes on from there. So this comes out in September. This is going to be one of your newer Penguin Classics. Very happy to have this. I have often found the new Penguin anthologies, collected volumes, one thing or another, the Penguin Book of Witches, the Penguin Book of the Undead, Penguin Book of Dragons. I've often found that these new original curated Penguin collections are thrillingly good, just thrillingly good. So I will hope to write about this in September. Then we have something that comes out in October, a biography. It's a slim biography, which is a little bit disappointing. This character deserves a 900-page doorstopper and is not going to get one, I don't think, anytime soon. This is by Brooke Barbier, and this is King Hancock, a new biography of John Hancock. He's most famous, of course, for his signature, and the first chapter of this book is called The Signature. But he was a lot of other things, too. He was a fascinating figure. This tops off, it was probably half a century ago, that a book called The Baron of Beacon Hill came out, another popular biography of Hancock, and at the time that book came out, I thought, well, this is great. Hancock is really interesting. It's always interesting to hear what a really good writer has to say about him, but this book should be longer. If David McCullough can do a 700-page biography of John Adams, then somebody should be able to do that for John Hancock. But let's see what we have here. This is the back of the cover of the book says this is a rollicking portrait. So I am off the hook. I get to use the word rollicking because somebody else did it. A rollicking portrait of a paradoxical patriot. Americans are surprisingly more familiar with his famous signature than with the man himself. In this spirited account of Hancock's life, the author depicts a patriot of fascinating contradictions, a child of enormous privilege who would nevertheless become a voice of the common folk, a pillar of society uncomfortable with radicalism, who yet was crucial to independence. About 2/5 of the American population held neutral or ambivalent views about the Revolution, and Hancock spoke for them and to them, bringing them along. It was actually more like 4/5. And Hamilton, he came from extensive wealth, but he was also himself a pirate. We don't use that term in American history, but let's see here. Orphaned young, Hancock was raised by his merchant uncle, whose business and vast wealth he inherited, including household slaves, whom Hancock later freed. By his early 30s, he was one of New England's most prominent politicians, earning a place on Britain's most wanted list and the derisive name King Hancock. While he eventually joined the revolution against England, his ever moderate and moderating disposition would prove an asset after 1776. The author shows how Hancock appealing to Southerners and Northerners, Federalists and Anti-Federalists. He was a famously steadying force as president of the fractious Second Continental Congress. Why do you insist on dancing with Mr. Adams? Good Lord, man. Sir, you can't stand him. It is true. He annoys me quite a lot. But still, I'd rather trot to Mr. Adams' new gavotte. But why, Mr. Hancock? For posterity, for a place in history? Be careful, sir. History will brand Mr. Adams and his followers as traitors. Traitors, Mr. Dickinson? To what? The British Crown or the British half-crown? This is another biography of Hamilton. This is going to be 320 pages long. I wish it were longer. It's also an odd size. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that out. This is a little trade paperback. This is the same size. It's going to be a hardcover, but I wonder if this is a case where just the galley copy is smaller, but the finished copy will be a normal-sized hardcover. But I'm always up for a Founding Father biography. It's almost never Hancock, so that's great. Then we have a haunted house story, an elaborate haunted house novel. This comes out in September, I believe. Yes, early September. This is The September House by Clarissa Orlando. Nice cover there. Let's see what we have here. This is the author's debut novel. It is a propulsive contemporary horror story that begins where most others end. I believe this begins with the people already knowing that the house is haunted and making their peace with that. It's about a woman determined to stay in her dream home even though she knows it's haunted. Part horror story, part psychological thriller, this is a haunted house story with a heart that explores the complex relationship between mothers and daughters, the effects of prolonged trauma, and the lengths we will go to survive. With an advanced degree in clinical psychology and a background in creative writing, the author is unique. I don't want to know about the author. Let's see if we can find out a little bit more about the book. Let's see here. No, still more about what she does during the day. Okay, here we go. In the September house, every September the walls drip blood. The ghosts of former inhabitants appear, and something lurks in the basement. Most people would flee. Margaret is not most people. Margaret is staying. It's her house. But after 4 years, her husband Hal can't take it anymore, and he leaves abruptly. Now, he's not returning calls, and their daughter Catherine arrives, intent on looking for her missing father. Margaret struggles to keep her blissfully unaware of the horrors of September, but the more they uncover about Hal's disappearance, the more harrowing the hauntings grow, because there are some secrets the house needs to keep. So when I read that description, naturally I thought about the classic episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where one of our characters gets a dream apartment and it turns out to be haunted, and she has an irate tirade about if you think I'm going to leave an apartment like this just because it's haunted, you're crazy. And she learns up living with she learns up bossing around the ghost who lives in her apartment. I've mentioned many times before on this channel that horror really doesn't do it for me, but that doesn't mean I don't read it. It doesn't mean I'm not willing to give it a try. I'll certainly give this a try, especially since it's a debut. I have a huge soft spot for debuts. Then we have an older title. One of you, I hope you're watching, as I don't think I have a way to contact you, but one of you heard a complaint that I was making the other day on this channel about a book that I didn't have, and you found a copy. I think at your local charity shop or something. I don't think this put anybody out much. I mentioned, we were talking about, for BookTube at War, we were talking about the War of 1812. And I mentioned a couple of books about the War of... I did a lot of reading about the War of 1812 in BookTube at War, which I wasn't intending. It was just a thread that ran throughout the month unexpectedly. And I mentioned in the course of that thread that the great Canadian historian Pierre Burton had written 2 volumes about the War of 1812, the invasion of Canada and flames across the border, and that I once had them in imported mass market paperbacks from New Pomfret, Vermont. And really, really loved them, thought they were fantastic. And I noticed when I was looking around that there is a big trade paperback that collects both of those books. And one of you found it. I said the Brattle would provide, but one of you did it anyway. This is Pierre Berton's War of 1812, which has both those books. Big fat thing. I'm going to absolutely love rereading this. I haven't reread either of those books in forever. I read both of them 30 years ago and loved them, recommended them to everybody. And then I reread them only once. I was in a used bookstore in, I want to say New Jersey or something. I'm not exactly sure where the used bookstore was, but I found hardcovers of both of those books, which I never see. I never see Pierre Berton in the wild at all, barely at all. I found hardcovers of both of those books, got them both, and reread them then, but that was 25 years ago. I haven't read these since. So this is, thank you so much, the one of you who sent this. That was a wonderful violation of rule number 1. Then we have a book for mid-November. This is way down the line. This is by Christopher DeHamel, and this is the Manuscripts Club, the people behind 1,000 years of medieval manuscripts. And this is, even in this advanced copy, this is fairly heavy because it does not have a single inset of photos. Instead, it has illustrations. I imagine these would be full color illustrations on every page or on many, many pages. So the advanced copy is already heavy. I imagine that the finished copy will be quite the thing. I don't know that I have a sheet for this. Oh, I do. Yes. Good. Let's see here. So this comes out in mid-November, added on to what is generally referred to as the history of the book, that subgenre of history. Let's see here. Over the course of a long study at Sotheby's, the author may have cataloged more illuminated manuscripts than any other person alive, and possibly more than any one individual has ever done. Now he takes us on an extraordinary and beautifully illustrated exploration of over 1,000 years of history. The illuminated manuscripts of the Middle Ages are among the greatest works of European art and literature. In this book, the author introduces us to centuries of extraordinary keepers, makers, collectors, and companions of medieval manuscripts, many of whom have been overlooked in history, but who have been crucial to their survival. The author expertly describes some of the fascinating figures who have spent their lives among illuminated manuscripts over the last 1,000 years. A monk in Normandy, a prince in France, a Florentine bookseller, an English antiquary, a rabbi from Central Europe, a French priest, a keeper at the British Museum, a Greek forger, a German polymath, a British connoisseur, and the woman who created the most spectacular library in America, all of them members of what DeHamel calls the Manuscripts Club. He's going to know all these stories. I did not know that. This guy has a huge amount of first-hand experience. He's learned all their stories. This exhilarating fraternity and the fellow enthusiasts who come with it illuminate how manuscripts have survived and been used by very different kinds of people in very different circumstances. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Well, I'm going to wait on this until later, until November, but I wanted you to know that it's coming out because this, if you're interested in the history of books, you're going to want this, definitely. I'm going to wait anyway on almost everything that I'm showing you because reading has suddenly become a luxury. Reading that is not research for the thing that I'm writing has suddenly become a luxury. I do a little bit of it here and there, but I cannot do that. I have a hard and fast deadline. Dawn on Wednesday is my deadline. Now, starting probably Monday, I will go to an around-the-clock schedule. So I'll still be taking care of Frida. Thank God Frida's not old. I ought to have caution when I make these promises about these kinds of projects. Thank God she's not old. Thank God she doesn't need round-the-clock help. Doesn't want me hovering over her all the time. Aside from her, she gets everything as though nothing has changed. But other than that, everything else is going by the board, and I will be adopting a round-the-clock schedule with only a little bit of time chipped away here and there for BookTube or BookTube-related things in order to get this done by dawn on Wednesday. After which point I'm going to reward myself. but when that will be a distant memory when this comes out, when I can finally read it. Then we have an older book. This came out when? 2016? 2019. This came out in 2019. And this is by Ann Patchett. This is The Dutch House. Ann Patchett, of course, most famous for Bel Canto. And I recently reread a collection of her nonfiction, that I really, really liked. And it's been making me think about her as an author. Who is this person as an author? Very adamant that the people who like her are very adamant that she is not a one-hit wonder, that bel canto is not the only thing she wrote. You should read everything. That she's important, in other words. A word that I generally distrust, but this was in a little free library that Frida and I passed by, and I had a hand free. So I had a hand free because my little baby walks next to me. Or she walks out in front of me, but not pulling on the leash. There's almost no tension on the leash. Unless I am stopping her from walking into traffic, or stopping her from going after a bunny rabbit to rip it apart. Unless I'm stopping her, we're usually just sort of bustling along together. So the warfare of a team of leashed beagles is over with. It's just gone. Well, I found this in a little free library, and I thought, well, when fate pushes you. So I grabbed it. I read this back when it came out. I liked it, and we'll see. We'll see what I do with a reread. Maybe this is an author I need to systematically revisit. Even though she's still alive, I usually don't do that with authors who are still alive. You never know. And then this last one is, I believe, a September book as well. Yes, this is a September book. This is a finished copy of something that we've already seen here. I've already read it. I'm very much looking forward to reading it again, but of course not anytime soon. All of this stuff's going to have to be pushed back to the end of August. Because the first landmark is Dawn on Wednesday. I'm going to succeed. I'm going to do the impossible by dawn on Wednesday. And then once that happens and that's over with, well, then I'm going to indulge myself. I'm going to relax. I'm going to enjoy myself. And then once that's over, so dawn on Wednesday to maybe Monday morning, maybe I'll start the week on Monday. I'll start back to normal on Monday. But first yardstick is dawn on Wednesday. Then the second is that just a period of enjoying myself. And then maybe Monday is when I'll get back into harness with all of these things, and I'll reread this thing. This is by Rachel Crashtill, and this is her book Bismarck's War, the Franco-Prussian War. This is the finished copy from the folks at Basic Books. The Franco-Prussian War, which lasted from 1870 to 1871, was short, but it was immensely bloody and consequential. It not only led to the fall of Napoleon III's Second Empire and the unification of a powerful German empire, but also engaged soldiers and civilians in new, unexpected forms of violence. Yet the war is often overlooked. Neither France nor Germany includes the conflict in their storied national histories. This book shines a spotlight on the Franco-Prussian War and its vital importance for the making of modern warfare. Including first-hand accounts of generals, infantrymen, ordinary villagers, the author elucidates not only the military history, but also the lived experience of civilians and soldiers in this gripping new retelling of the conflict. And it's been a while since the Franco-Prussian War had a book of its own. I really enjoyed how this was done. Really just a textbook example of popular narrative history. So I'm very glad to have the finished copy. I do want to reread this thing and maybe do a little ancillary reading before I write a review of it. But that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen for the next week. What is this, Sunday? Yeah, a week. Amazing to think, such a short amount of time. A week. We'll see all of this done. A week, we'll see it done. All the work, all the freakishness, all the sleeplessness, all of the postponing of reading, all the postponing of fun, all of the short shifting of BookTube, all of that will be done in a week. Exactly 7 days. So once that happens, I will return to the book beat and I will do Bismarck's War. So that was just, there's no real rhyme or reason to this. I just want to talk about books for a bit. That's all. This is absolutely all the time I have to spare. This is Bismarck's War. We have The Dutch House. Did any of you read The Dutch House? Are any of you Anne Patchett fans? There are probably a lot of bel canto fans out there, but what about this author? The impression that I've got, and that one friend has been an advocate from the beginning, is that impression right? That maybe this author is serious and worth it? Worth a serious revisit? Then we have the Manuscripts Club, which is not just all about medieval manuscripts, what they were, how they were made, how expensive were they, where were they housed, but about the people who have been consequential in their preservation, in their provenance. Then we have Pierre Burton's 1812. How wonderful that one of you found this and sent it to me. That is just great. That is worth a reread, and it's a keeper. Just wonderful example of the violation of rule number 1. Then we have The September House. about a woman who is determined to keep her haunted house, no matter what. We have King Hancock, a new biography of John Hancock. We have the Penguin Book of Spiritual Verse. We have We Could Be So Good by Cat Sebastian. I took a small gamble with We Could Be So Good. It was only a small gamble because I already know that I like Cat Sebastian's writings. I just didn't know that I liked them outside of the context of the Regency, and now I know that I do. And finally, this glorious thing, The Lives of Sharks. Oh my! So if you've got a see, you've got the megamouth shark. There you've got details, distribution, length, and here you've got their distribution across the world for every species. If you've got a young shark fan out there on your list or in your house, this is coming out in September, and this is Princeton really does these right. So if you've got a young budding marine biologist, a kid, or maybe not a kid, someone who's really interested in marine biology, you could do a lot worse in September than to get them the octopus book and the shark book. They're both coming out from Princeton. Just go to their website and order them. But anyway, that's just a pile of miscellaneous books, just 30 minutes of your time. Sorry for the haphazard nature of it all, but I'm out of practice when it comes to BookTube. Whoever thought that day would come? Only a week. It's just a week. And then, with any luck, I'll be back to bombarding you senseless with videos. In the meantime, I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.